Welcome to this Efendi Agro Explainer. Today, we're going to dive deep into a decision that can literally make or break an agricultural operation. We're talking about tractors and the broader world of agricultural mechanization. Now listen, for anyone out there actually working the land, you already know this. Buying a tractor is not just about buying a machine. It is a major foundational investment in your farm's entire mechanization system. I mean, think about it. How does choosing the right tractor affect your daily costs, your labor requirements, your fuel consumption, and ultimately your overall productivity? Well, that is exactly what we're going to uncover today. We're going to do a real engineering analysis, but don't worry, we're keeping it in clear, practical, and farmer-friendly language. No overly academic jargon here, just the actual field realities you need to know. So here is our game plan for this explainer. We're going to walk through the complete life cycle of a tractor purchasing decision. We'll start with the ultimate farm investment, move beyond just raw horsepower, and figure out how to match the tractor to the farm. Then we'll cover how to avoid some really costly buying mistakes, compare new versus used tractors, and wrap up with a look at the future of farming. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The ultimate farm investment. Let's start with the core philosophy here. What does a tractor actually represent to your ag business? It's so much more than just a big vehicle with heavy tires. It's the central power hub of your entire farm. To really get the tractor, we've got to understand agricultural mechanization as a whole. You should think of mechanization not just as a bunch of random tools, but as a complete, integrated system. The whole point of this system is to save you time, reduce your dependency on manual labor, lower those painful operational costs, and drastically improve how efficiently you work. A tractor is literally the beating heart of this system. In today's world, where rural labor pools are shrinking and weather windows are getting more and more unpredictable, you just can't afford to be completely reliant on manual labor constraints. Mechanization frees you from all that. It lets you get out into the field and get the job done exactly when the agronomic conditions demand it, not just when you happen to find enough hands to help.
Tractors are the primary power sources that actually make advanced agricultural production techniques possible. When we talk about mechanization, we're looking at the whole picture, from how an implement is designed to how efficiently the machinery operates in the field. When you use it right, a tractor directly increases your farm's income. And how does it do that? By letting you combine tasks. Think about it. Instead of making 3 separate passes across a field to till, prepare the seedbed, and then plant, which burns up your time, your fuel, and your labor, a properly sized tractor can just pull a combination implement that does all 3 in one single pass. Now that is the true power of a mechanized system. Let's break down what a tractor is actually doing for you on a day-to-day basis. From pulling those heavy plows to doing super precise work, it's the ultimate multi-purpose power plant. You've got plowing, tilling, and soil prep to create that perfect seedbed. You've got highly precise seeding and planting. It powers your implements both stationary and moving, using the PTO and some seriously advanced hydraulic systems. But it doesn't just stop in the field, right? It's absolutely essential for hauling and transport, moving smoothly from the dirt to the asphalt to lug heavy water tanks or harvested grain. It handles spraying and fertilizing to protect and feed the crops, and it provides vital support when you're baling and harvesting. You can even use your tractor to chop weeds along fence lines. The takeaway here, if you're going to invest in a tractor, you need to squeeze every ounce of potential out of it to multiply your return on investment.
Section 2. Beyond just raw horsepower.
So we've all seen this happen. A farmer walks into a dealership, looks at the giant sticker on the hood showing the horsepower, and basically makes their decision right there on the spot. But guys, there is a massive difference between raw engine horsepower, which is just the total power generated inside the engine block, and torque and traction. Horsepower is undeniably important for sure, but it is completely useless if you can't transfer that energy into the dirt. If you have a 200 horsepower beast, but your wheels are just endlessly spinning in wet soil, your effective power is zero, nothing. To actually get work done in the field, we have to look at the engine's torque, the traction those tires provide, and the physical weight and ballast of the machine. Those are the actual elements that turn loud engine noise into profitable fieldwork. Let's translate these engineering specs into real farm results. Torque, that's what gives you that gritty, dig-in-your-heels pulling power so you don't stall out when your plow hits a patch of heavy clay. Your transmission is what lets you dial in the exact optimum field speed. Say your implement needs you to move at exactly 7 kilometers per hour. You need a transmission that hits that speed perfectly while keeping the engine RPMs low to maximize your fuel savings. Then you have hydraulics and PTO, which need to be robust enough to handle modern, heavy implements without breaking a sweat. And finally, tires and ballast. This is absolutely critical.
Adding weight gives you traction, but there's a major catch. If your tires are too narrow or pumped up too high, you're going to cause severe soil compaction, and compaction is a yield killer. It stops roots from penetrating, causes water to stagnate, creates massive ruts, and just ruins your crop yields. Using wider, high-volume tires lets you carry those heavy loads at lower pressures, protecting your soil while still giving you the traction you need.
Here's a staggering reality check for you. Diesel is king. Diesel tractors currently hold about 90% of the global market share, mostly because of their proven reliability and massive torque output. And because diesel is so dominant, managing how much of it you burn is your most critical variable cost. From an engineering standpoint, you want to operate your tractor at roughly 70 to 80% of its maximum engine power with a properly matched implement. That right there is the sweet spot. That's where you hit peak fuel efficiency, meaning you're getting the absolute most work done for every liter of diesel you burn. If you're just putting around at a 30% load, you're wasting fuel. But if you're pushing it at 100% all day, every day, you're going to drastically shorten the life of that machine.
Section 3. Matching tractor to farm.
Understanding power is really only half the battle. You've got to match that power to your specific operation. Looking at the global market broken down by horsepower, we see some very distinct categories. Anything below 40 horsepower is brilliant for microplots, landscaping, or really specialized light tasks. The 40 to 100 horsepower range, that's the dominant force globally. It acts as this incredibly popular, highly versatile backbone for mid-sized farms and mixed operations. Meanwhile, the above 100 horsepower class, which often stretches well beyond 200 or 300 horsepower, is expanding rapidly right now. These massive units are absolutely essential for large-scale row crop consolidation, where you're pulling incredibly wide implements to cover huge acreages during very tight weather windows.
The truth is, there is simply no one-size-fits-all solution in agricultural mechanization. If you're running a massive open-field grain farm, you absolutely need a heavy-duty workhorse over 100 horsepower to drag heavy draft implements like deep plows and large air seeders. On the flip side, a mid-sized mixed farm that's balancing livestock and crops is going to rely heavily on a utility tractor in that 40 to 100 horsepower range for everything from baling hay to front-loader work. But think about this. If you operate a hazelnut farm, a vineyard, or an orchard, buying a massive row crop tractor would be a terrible mistake. You need a narrow, highly maneuverable orchard tractor that can weave through tight rows without destroying your high-value crop canopies while still packing enough PTO punch for heavy spraying. You have to match the iron to your soil, your slope, and your specific crop type.
Section 4. Avoiding costly buying mistakes.
It is so easy to walk onto a dealership lot, get blinded by the shiny new paint, and make a decision based on emotion rather than engineering. But you gotta understand one of the most vital concepts in farm management, the U-shaped curve of total machinery costs. Listen, if you buy a tractor that's too small for your acreage, your fixed costs might be nice and low, but your timeliness costs will completely skyrocket. What's timeliness cost? That's the hard cash you lose in crop yield because you simply couldn't plant or harvest fast enough before the weather turned bad. On the other hand, if you buy some oversized monster tractor for a small farm, yeah, your timeliness is fantastic, but your fixed costs, your loans, your depreciation, the insurance, will eat every penny of your profit. Your goal as a farm manager is to find that perfect minimum cost point at the bottom of the curve, balancing the size of the machine exactly with your acreage.
So what are the most common traps we see farmers fall into? Well, first, exactly what we just talked about, buying too much or too little horsepower. Second, and this one drives engineers crazy, using mismatched implements. Hooking up a tiny 2-meter cultivator to a 150 horsepower tractor is a massive waste of fuel and capital. And conversely, forcing a 50 horsepower tractor to pull a heavy, deep subsoiler will literally tear the transmission to pieces. Third mistake, ignoring your local service network. I don't care how great a tractor is on paper, if the closest mechanic is 500 kilometers away and you can't get parts during harvest, that machine is a massive liability. Fourth, ignoring fuel costs. And finally, buying purely for bragging rights or brand color instead of engineering fit. Look, a shiny paint job doesn't harvest crops. Buy the tool that actually does the job efficiently.
Section 5. New versus used tractors.
When it finally comes time to pull the trigger, one of the biggest financial hurdles is deciding whether to buy brand new off the lot or hunt for a quality used machine. Let's be completely objective here and compare the two. New tractors obviously come with a much higher initial cost, but they often feature subsidized or lower interest financing. You get full warranties, which means your breakdown risk during those stressful first few seasons is minimal, And you get all the latest fuel efficiency and precision tech. The downside? That brutal, rapid initial depreciation. Used tractors, on the flip side, offer a much lower barrier to entry and hold a much more stable resale value, mainly because the first guy took the depreciation hit for you. But financing a used tractor usually means higher interest rates, and there is absolutely no warranty. If you're buying used, you have to be a detective. Stringently verify the working hours, the engine condition, the transmission health, and the hydraulic maintenance history.
And look, there's a really crucial point we have to stress here: objectivity. No matter what a slick marketing brochure or a salesman tells you, making absolute claims about exactly how much fuel a tractor will consume, when exactly it will break down, or what its resale value will be in 5 years, it's just impossible. A tractor's reliability and its true fuel economy are always going to fluctuate. It depends entirely on your specific field conditions, how steep your hills are, the strength of your regional service network, and honestly, perhaps most importantly, the behavior and care of the operator sitting in the cabin. A well-maintained used tractor run by a careful operator will outlast a brand new tractor driven recklessly any day of the week.
Section 6. The future of farming.
As we look ahead, we just can't ignore the massive technological wave that's washing over agricultural mechanization right now. The tractor is evolving from just a dumb pulling engine into a highly advanced, smart farming hub, and this evolution is moving incredibly fast. We've gone from traditional, purely mechanical diesel engines straight into the era of GPS guidance and auto steering. Today we are deep into precision sensors and telematics, where your tractors are constantly beaming operational data up to the cloud. And looking at the immediate future, we are witnessing the very real commercialization of battery electric tractors, especially in horticulture and municipal work, alongside fully autonomous robotic platforms that can run field operations without a human ever sitting in the seat.
But let's bring this all back down to earth and look at field realities. These aren't just science fiction concepts cooked up for trade shows. They offer highly practical, immediate benefits for your bottom line. Take GPS auto steering, for example. It drastically reduces overlap in the field. When you aren't accidentally overlapping your passes by 10%, you are instantly saving 10% on fuel, 10% on seed, 10% on expensive fertilizer, and 10% on your labor time. Precision sensors make sure every single seed is placed perfectly to maximize yield. Telematics let you and your fleet managers actually predict maintenance before a catastrophic breakdown happens right in the middle of harvest. And those electric models? Particularly for smaller farms that have access to solar or renewable energy, they are beginning to offer significantly lower operating and maintenance costs over the entire lifespan of the machine. Well, we have covered a massive amount of ground today. Everything from the physics of torque and soil compaction to the economics of machine sizing and the future of smart tech. I think it's pretty clear that choosing the right tractor requires a really delicate balance of engineering knowledge and practical, everyday farm sense. Every single farm is different, and every farmer has a different breaking point for their budget and needs. So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a provocative question to answer for your own operation. When you strip away all the shiny paint and the fancy marketing brochures, what is the most important factor when buying a tractor? Fuel consumption, power, service support, price, comfort, or resale value? Think carefully, because your farm's future depends on the answer. Thanks for hanging out with me on this Efendi Agro Explainer. Catch you next time.